Hey guys, Rookie Lock here, back once again. I hope everyone's having a great day as always. And today I'm going to talk about how I would go about modifying a key blank to fit a lock. I'm going to use this Lockwood V7 as an example. And this is probably going to be quite an easy one, but I hope most of what I say is going to apply to almost any lock. So what I would start with is obviously the lock that you want to find a blank for. Say they don't make blanks for that lock anymore, or it's a restricted keyway that again you can't get blanks for, or maybe they just don't make blanks for that lock anymore. What I would do first is, well, I think first I'm going to take the plug out, just to illustrate things better, and that's probably what I would do first anyway. I do already have a key for this, but I'm gonna I found or should say Paul turned me on to a better suited blank for this. So we got our plug out, and gonna dump these pins out. There's a drill protection, and there's an actual ball bearing there too. One more pin. Okay, so we got our plug out. I'm going to put it in this holder here. The first thing I would do is find a key blank that's close. Maybe you can find a locksmith that's willing to help you out with this. Hopefully a friendly locksmith. But I would start with hopefully you can find a key that kind of wants to go in. And again, this is a perfect example of, or an easy example of a lock that you can, you know what I mean, find a key that's pretty easy to fit. You can see here the LW4R, which when you have a key with a R at the end of it, it usually means it's a reverse keyway. And we can see that here, LW4 and LW4R. And sure enough, if we put these keys next to each other, they are mirror or reverse images of each other. So again, on this lock, like I said, it's a example of what would be an easy one. You can see here that the LW4R, the wording almost matches up perfectly on this side. Not so much on this side, but this is a good start for a key that would work in here. Next, what I would do, I would measure just by eye the height of the keyway. Sorry, of the the keyway when the plug is in something. So we can see here that we have a bit of meat to come off the bottom. Should have mentioned that this is the key that I'm going to use. It's a bit better suited for this. It's an extremely long key, so we'll have to cut some off the tip. But like I said, we'll have to cut some off the bottom and probably the top too. So that's what I would probably do next. I'm gonna probably cut the video and file some meat off the bottom and the top, and I'll be back to see what we have. Alright guys, so I just finished filing the bottom of the key and the top of the key right here, and it took me all about I don't know, 5-7 minutes. Really wasn't hard to do, and I'm kind of surprised actually. This key already fits in the keyway quite nicely actually. Yeah, not much of a tutorial. I was hoping to show what I would do after getting the key to the right height if it didn't fit. I guess I can still do that, but as you can see, it already fits perfectly. But for the sake of the tutorial, if this key didn't fit, the next thing I would do, hopefully you have it to the right height and it's starting to fit in the keyway, maybe just the tip. What I've done on some other projects like this, I would take some Sharpie, some Sharp'em as some people call it. Ooh, sorry about that, guys. And I would just glue up, I know I only need to do one side, but I blew up the whole key. And then you do a test fit. And here it's not going to show, but kind of give it a little force and try to get it in as far as you can. And again, if the key didn't fit, we would be left with some marks on here. For example, it might rub off some of the blue right here, which again, I was surprised because when I made this original key for this, that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what happened. As you can see here, I had to take off some of this this milling here. You can see where it's where the chrome or the plating came off there. I had to file that down just slightly to get this key to fit. So yeah, it's an old trick. You can also use some soot, put this over a candle, put it in and see where it's rubbing, and file that off and keep going, and you should have a key that works. Sure, most of you know how to file a key, hand file a key, which I guess I'll show that in the next segment. I'll break away for a second and gonna have the key marked up. What I'm gonna do is have the key in, and if I could find my tool. This should work. I wish I had one the exact diameter as this, but I would just go in, and again we can glue up the tip here. Go in and make a little mark in each of these holes, and we should be left with a key with 7 marks on it. And we can just take and, excuse me, I don't have a needle file close by hand, but we just go and start those marks so we know where to file. I'll start with that, and I'll be back once we do that. All right, hang on. All right, guys. So now I have some just some starter grooves filed in here, and some deeper than others, but that's just trying to bring them into center. So you can see that I marked them just with that this whatever scribe or whatever you want to call it, and since it's not the perfect diameter of the hole, you can get your marks off center. So what I do, I filed where those marks were, and then I take a look through. Let's see if we can get a look at that through the plug down at the key, and it's not going to help us out. But if those marks aren't in the center of the hole, I just took my file and filed left or right of the mark to center up the marks in the center of the hole. So now that that's done, we can pick some pins that we want to use for our bitting. I have some Lockwood pins here. Start with a long one, a little less long. That's a driver. put this short one here. I don't know. Let's put that one there. So 4, 5, 6, and I'll put that one there. Not the greatest bitting, but I don't really care for a lock like this. Actually, would like a few longer key pins in there. That one has a wafer. Let's mix it up, put a shorter one here. And that's not too bad, I guess. I'll be happy with that. So I'm going to take and populate the first chamber here, and it's almost at shear right now, so that'll be an overset trap. So this one's going to take a lot of filing to get that down. Put our key in. So we're going to have to file the key. We're going to have to file the key that much to get this down to shear. And I'm just going to file this straight. I know Paul had done one with his file grooves on the side, but I think I'm just going to take the easy way out and file this straight down. So I'll be back with that. Stand by. Alright, so here we are with our first cut in the key. And I should also mention that a lot of people would use a round file for this, but I kind of like using a square one. You get a good 90-degree V, and it just looks a little bit better. Might actually be easier to do with a round file, but you'll leave yourself some big valleys that you'd have to clean up, or the key wouldn't be able to slide in or out properly. So we're nice and maybe a couple licks more. That's pretty good actually, and it's a little rough coming out, but that's just because the V will end up cutting straight in a little bit. You can see that little hump there. So we just hard to do through the camera and with a crappy focus. A little bit more. Trying not to shake the whole desk, but hey, you get the idea. Yeah, I'm going to do the rest of these, and I'll be back with the final shot. Stand by. Alright guys, back from filing, and back from picking up lunch too. I took a little lunch break between shots here. But anyway, that's what I ended up with. Not too bad of a bitting. I'm pretty happy with that. Oh, forgot to lock the exposure there. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, and more happy that change this exposure again. More happy that everything lines up good, and we're at the moment of truth to see if we did our job right. And I should add here too that come on camera, work with me. If we had a key that was loose in the keyway, by loose I mean it, you know what I mean, would move up and down a lot. It can be pretty hit or miss. You have to really think about that. Your drivers are being pushed down with springs, and if your key's loose, it's gonna probably go all the way to the bottom, which another reason it's good to use one of these shoes or plug holders. That way you you know that your key is being pushed to the bottom of the plug and your pins are flush in that state. So again, I haven't tried this. I could be eating my words in a second, but I'm going to put this together and see if it works. Moment of truth. So the plug fits in, feels good, maybe a little tight, maybe a couple pins are a little high, but again, like I said, the truth is when you turn it to lock position. Don't have the clip on, so I'm going to carefully take it out, put it in, and sure enough, it works perfectly. Awesome. Happy with that. Didn't make a fool of myself. So yeah, really nice key. Just had to take a little bit off the tip. These things are really long keys. And I was told that they're for the old Aussie post boxes, which is kind of cool. But there we go, have that working. Happy about that. Can actually, I don't know how long this video is going to be, and probably not going to turn out exactly the way I wanted it to, but I'm going to show the case that this thing goes into. I'm not going to install it because it takes some fussing around with the C-clip and stuff like that, but oops. Oh, I got duh. Got it screwed together. But this is a V7 cabinet lock, which is pretty damn cool. Usually you don't think very much of cabinet locks, but this one is a, I wouldn't call it a beast, but it's definitely not a slouch of a cabinet lock. Ooh. Little standoffs there. So it has a weird actuator, or cam, tailpiece, whatever, that goes on there like that. And it'll grab this bolt just like a lever lock. In fact, there is a little lever in there just to keep it in the locked position. Don't know that it's totally necessary, but you can see how this would turn, push that lever up, and pull or push this this latch to open or closed. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm going to get that put back together and might mount that up at sometime in the future. So there you go. That's how I would approach making a key for one of these locks. Again, the video probably didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to, but like I said, I might have mentioned that I'm gonna also make a key for this Medico, and might try a bit of a different format for when I do that. But those of you that stuck with me this far, appreciate that. Leave your comments below, any suggestions or anything like that. But pretty happy with how that turned out, going from this key here, which not sure if many of you noticed, it only has 6 cuts, LW4R key, which is a 5-pin key, where I cut the shoulder back and, come on camera, got 6 cuts on it. This key was a mile long, or a kilometer long. And I'm quite happy with the bitting on it. And all Lockwood pins, and there's actually some spools upstairs, I believe. Alright guys, I'm going to leave it off with that. I'm going to go have some pizza. Like I said, thanks for sticking with me, and as always, don't give lock pickers a bad name. Don't pick locks that you don't own or have permission to pick. Take care, see you on the next one.